When you first start out looking to visit a psychic or a medium, it's quite a minefield out there. I mean, myself, I can only do a limited amount of readings. So at the moment, and for quite a while, I haven't been doing private one-to-one readings because I just don't have the time with all my other work. My wife Jane, yes, she does private readings, but she can only do readings for people locally, really, people that come to see us, because we live in Hampshire, England. So so most of you out there are going to have a bit of a struggle sometimes knowing which way to turn to find a good medium, and particularly if you want to see a medium face to face. Now, I offer, of course, on my website, as you see, I offer phone reading services by a good selection of psychics and mediums who can do a good reading by telephone. They've got all proper testimonials on there that are properly being checked, because the service is regulated by Phone Play Plus. So anything that goes up on the site has to be checked and has to be proved, have to have true collaboration that is a real testimonial. But if you go out and look around on the internet, you'll find all sorts of supposed testimonials for psychics that really aren't real. I mean, I've put up genuine testimonials on my website sometimes, and I've seen other psychics have actually copy pasted my testimonials and put them onto their own websites. So so there's a lot of scoundrels out there nowadays, and there's an awful lot of cheating goes on, and a lot of really rubbish psychics out there as well that will probably not, you'll really take your chance going to see. Right, so other than my own services, what can you do to find a good psychic medium who can particularly excuse me, give you a reading, hopefully local to you? Well, where do you start? Probably the best way, if you can, is word of mouth. That's always going to be the best. You can read testimonials, like I said, on sites on the internet, and you don't know what you're going to get. You could go to a directory like Yell, which is pretty good, but they don't check everybody. And even the testimonials going up on there, you don't know if it's another one of these spammy sort of testimonials being put up like people do on Amazon. I've met people that have actually put fake reviews up on Amazon as a way of life. Terrible. So you can't trust reviews online, you can't trust testimonials online, but you can trust the word of your friends. So that is the first place to look. Do any of your friends, have they seen a good medium? Have they seen them locally? And you need to also really know what it is you're looking for too, really, because your friend might be going along to decide that they got a life problem of some sort. They want to find out what's going to happen to their partner, right? But you might be going along because you've lost someone and you need to see a medium, So know what you want. I mean, are you looking for answers about life, guidance about life? Are you looking for proof of life after death? And you need to question yourself a little bit with these things too. Are you just looking for comfort? Because that's not really what we want when we're looking for these things. We want to find ways to empower ourselves, not to say it's all going to be all right. That's opening yourself to problems. You need mediums and psychics and give proof and evidence, but that's another talk, really. But if you know what you want, you know what you can look for to find. Now you can often find quite good psychics working in New Age shops. There's not so many of them around nowadays because, a lot of psychics now work on the telephone lines and so forth. But there's a number that are good where you can get a one-to-one reading. If that psychic is doing one reading after another all day long, they're unlikely to be mediumistic. You could read tarot cards all day long because that doesn't really take a psychic gift. You see, that takes an interpretive gift, right? But you couldn't do mediumship one after another all day long. I mean, Jane and myself, this is why, we can't really live by doing mediumistic readings, because frankly, if I do a mediumistic reading, just one in a day, it leaves me completely wiped out. Jane will do 2 a day max. You can really handle, because after that you start getting really dangerously tired, and it can play upon your health. And that's just not me and Jane that get that problem, but that applies to any genuine mediums out there. Now, So, but psychic work's not so difficult. You can kind of do psychic readings more. You can do more psychic readings in a day. And I've worked psychic fairs, for example, just like the New Age shops. But, you can't do it every day. But, sometimes, yes, you can do quite a lot on a psychic fair. So you've got two choices there. You've got New Age shops to look up and look around. As most big towns kind of have them now, particularly in America. But, here in the UK, too, we've got psychic fairs. You'll see those probably advertised in sometimes your local papers. They tend to be a bit old-fashioned the way they do these things. Also, you've got spiritualist churches. Now, when you go to a spiritualist church, you go to watch a medium, and that might be part of either a exclusive demonstration of mediumship, where he'll stand up on what we call the rostrum, those little mini stage they have in the spiritualist church, and will give come to people in the audience. I'll come to you, and I've got your mother, would you understand this? And you may or may not get a message. But if you go to that, or you go to a spiritualist service, which has hymns and prayers and things like that, but then a bit of that, what I've just described at the end, where the medium gives messages to the audience. If you like the medium, because you're almost getting a free sample there as well, you could go and either, if you can, ask the medium direct, but often the medium has to go aside and has to sit down quietly at the back, or is too tired to talk to anybody, or ask maybe the person, if you're not sure who to ask, you could ask the person that introduced them, or ask what you really want to ask is the medium secretary. Basically ask someone in the church that's one of the organisers, does this medium do private readings? Because while they're in your area, they might be available for psychic readings, or mediumistic readings particularly. And that's a good place to get a medium, remembering, like I said at the start, that a medium gives proof of life after death. Much, much rarer than a psychic who gives life guidance. Okay, so mediums are harder to track down, but spiritualism is a good place to start. You can get a list of spiritualist churches online if you look at the snu.org, which is the Spiritualist National Union website. You could look that up, you can type that word in. And also in Psychic News, that's the local magazine. I think they're psychicnews.org.uk they're using at the moment as their domain name. So, like I say, you need to know what you want. You need to know if it's a psychic reading you're looking for, that's life guidance, because a medium won't be giving proof, won't be telling you the future, usually. A medium will be telling you about proof of life after death. A psychic or a fortune teller might talk about the future. There's a whole different issue, because again, there's things that may or may not be right with telling the future. You need to get proof even from a psychic that they know something about your life before they can tell you about the future. Okay, the other thing to think about is the price too. Now, it's very difficult, because there's those people that are running on the black economy that basically are unemployed, and they're trying to earn a little bit of extra money, so they buy a set of tarot cards and decide, right, I'm going to be a medium, a psychic, and they start just reading the cards from what they've read in a book, Not going to get much from it, and that person's just doing it to prop up their social security. So, is that really a professional medium? It's not. It's not good, So cheap is not necessarily good. So, even then, some of those people charge a lot of money, So, and then at the other end of the scale, there's people like myself that have, got to a quite high status in that we've been well known and been television around the world and so forth. And I just can't bring myself to charge the sort of prices that I see less well-known mediums charging. I've seen mediums charging, $2,000, to work that out in pounds for a reading. What? That's just total nonsense, and people queue up to do it, No, I could only charge people what I'd be prepared to go and pay someone else. That's how I look at it, and even then I think, well, I'm probably better off than some of those people, so could I really charge that? So for me, I now do much of my work for free, as I explain at the end of these videos. I try to do it just to raise money for charitable causes, so I can do the work because I love it. And my actual income, I make now from the telephone lines on my website. And I know those people are good, decent people, so I can feel, I can make a living, and the rest of my work I can give for free. But there's not many mediums and psychics who can do that. They're not even in the position they can do that, because they've got to earn a living. So, think, be careful. Don't go too cheap, because you're going to find the scumbags that are just, black economy people. You don't want that. And don't go right at the top just because they've been on television. That doesn't mean they're the best. Mark my words, a lot of these people that have been on television as psychics are complete total scumbag frauds, because it's a small world. We all know each other in this. There's not many real mediums and psychics around, but some of them are very good. But then at the same time, you know, don't go paying big money just because you think that somehow by paying more you're going to get better. So be aware of these psychic scams. And look, there's also a lot of psychic scams around that you'll get by email. If anybody's approaching you all the time by email, you've got to be a bit suspicious. If they've come out of the blue, they bought a list and suddenly an email arrives. Or you get these ones where they come through the post and you get some Madame Zaza woman with a big sort of turban and all the rest of it, who's going to see your future. They're almost like a threatening form of chainmail. You know, if you don't respond to this, you know you're going to be in serious problems. Everything's going to go wrong. You know, don't touch any of that sort of rubbish. Don't touch psychics that offer to get rid of things by burning candles. You know, so I will burn a candle to bring your lover back. Oh, marvellous, that's great. How much will that be? That'll be $2,000. Again, I've heard this. I've met people that have paid money like that, you know, equivalent in UK money as well. You know, that sort of money just to burn a magic candle. You might as well burn the money. You know, so there are good mediums out there, but nowadays, you know, every Tom, Dick and Harry thinks they're a medium. You've got those that think they can do it and can't. You've got those that have picked up a pack of tarot cards in order to, you know, top up their dole money. You've got spiritualists. 99% of those are trustworthy. Go to a spiritualist church because they're not going to let them on the platform if they're a fraud, right? And they're not going to let them on the platform if they hear they're charging huge money to people. It's a good place to look. The psychic shops are usually pretty good too, because they've got their reputation to have to look after. Psychic fairs, variable, because it's a one-off. The person might try to make as much money as they can and clear off. Oh, I'm making it all sound so awful. But there are genuine, good psychics and mediums out there. Recommendation is your best start, okay? Ask around. And if you don't like what a medium's saying to you, I mean, I'd stop them in the first 10 minutes and say, no, I don't feel you're getting it through to me. I'd like to cancel this reading. And you can walk away. And that would be fair. And in fact, if the medium did feel, a genuine medium, if they did feel they're not really getting it through and it's not really happening, and I've had this happen to me too, you know, something's not quite right, and you might stop the reading and say, sorry, I can't do it today, I'm just too tired, it's not quite right. You know, and that's a real medium, because, you know, they don't want to give you a load of baloney, you know. So, you know, it's not easy to make a living as a medium. So a medium needs to be able to charge enough to live, you know, and at the same time, not enough to rip off and start living in luxury. Might have another source of income, perhaps, you know, and then you're perhaps safer. So there you go. There's lots of ways to find mediums out there and find psychics. I say, you know, it's, and maybe last thing, you know, people like me, you know, ask people who are good mediums, you know, if you've seen someone and say, oh no, sorry, I don't have any availability at the moment. Ask if they've got a recommendation, possibly. You know, sometimes people have. Normally it's not always the case. But, you know, ask your friends first and foremost, and that's your best way in. And I do hope you'll find a good medium. And if you find a bad one first off, you know, when I say bad, I don't mean necessarily a scam artist. I mean someone that don't get much, you know. Don't be put off, because they might have just had a bad day. They might not be up to the level they think they are. But you will, if you start a search to get proof of life after death, you will find the answer eventually. You will get proof that one day someone will say to you something that you think, my God, there's no way they could have known that, you know. And when you start getting into those realms, then a real spiritual search has really begun in your life. Best of luck. Jane and I now do our spiritual work for our foundation. All the profits that come from things like our conferences and theatres and workshops and all those exciting things now go into this foundation, which ultimately has the long-term plan of building centres in the UK and maybe around the world one day. But meanwhile, we've been doing a lot of direct spiritual work with it. We've been going out, feeding people in India, giving to the destitute, giving to beggars. We've helped feed schools, helped orphanages, and we've even given cows to older people that have no other form of income. So mediumship can change your life, but it can also help people directly in the world. So go to the links at the end and find out all about what Jane and I are trying to do. And you can do a lot just by sharing these videos on social media. Help us get the word out. Help us to do something really good in this world. Click on this picture of me to subscribe to our channel and see all of our latest videos as soon as they're published. Or click on this next video for more of our stuff.